and again, welcome to another session of Take 5.
Hello, everyone.
Right. As you can see, I've got my hat on, and we're going to do some more biblical archaeology. And what we're doing this time, Janet?
We're doing Hezekiah's tunnel wreck, so it's very
Hezekiah's
interesting.
tunnel. So I'm going to take my hat off now, a silly hat, so we've got to get digging. Okay then, let's go.
Hezekiah's tunnel was discovered in 1837. A local story tells us that it was first stumbled upon by two boys playing near the Pool of Siloam, with one of them accidentally falling into a small opening near the entrance. Built roughly 2,700 years ago, long before the invention of GPS and laser level equipment, Hezekiah's tunnel is one of Jerusalem's incredible landmarks. Even by today's standards, the construction of this 1,750-foot-long subterranean passageway is an extraordinary feat of engineering. Hezekiah's tunnel connects the Gihon Springs to the Pool of Siloam. The Gihon Spring is situated on the eastern side of the city of David, and this natural spring is Jerusalem's only fresh water source, and it is essential to life in the city, including the irrigation of crops, the vines and the fruit trees. Hezekiah was well aware of the impending Assyrian invasion years before it happened, and took care to make sure the Gihon was well fortified. And when the Assyrians invaded Judah in the late 8th century BC, Hezekiah rerouted the water from the Gihon spring to inside the city. 2 Chronicles 32 verses 2 to 4 tells us, he gathered a team together to stop the normal flow of water and divert the water, saying, why should the kings of Assyria come and find much water? Cutting a 1,750-foot tunnel through bedrock was a tremendous task and needed to weave in and out around obstacles, whilst at the same time creating a necessary descent, allowing water to flow into the city. The labourers started from each end and amazingly met in the middle. A wall plaque called the Siloam inscription was discovered by archaeologists in 1880. It read, this is the story of the tunnelling. Voices were heard calling man to his counterpart. And on that day of breaking through, the miners hewed, each man towards his fellow, pickaxe against pickaxe, and the water flowed from the spring to the reservoir, 1,200 cubics. It is estimated that it took between 1 to 4 years to complete.
Well, that's a great story, that, Janet. Thanks for reading that.
You're welcome.
A lot of the events in the Bible have great significance for us, haven't they? And they teach us an awful lot. What do you think this has got to say to us today? And to say it was something that happened 2,700 years ago, you know?
Well, I suppose there's some similarity. Jerusalem were in lockdown.
Yeah.
The people in Jerusalem, just like we are today.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not the same reason. Obviously, it's not. But
No.
I suppose human nature that never changes. And I suppose when things go wrong, we all start to moan.
Yeah.
And people were moaning. Hezekiah, he had a little moan, didn't he?
I don't know.
No, you don't moan, Rex. And it's written in the book of Kings that Hezekiah was a good man. He was a righteous bloke.
Yeah.
Did very well for his country, and his faith is being tested.
Yes. Yes.
But you see, his focus shifted more to the problem than the solution.
Yes. That's right.
And,
yeah.
And he began kowtowing, didn't he, to Sennacherib.
Sennacherib.
Ah, yeah.
Get his name right. Difficult name, that.
It is.
Yeah.
Sennacherib.
Sennacherib.
The king of Assyria.
Sennacherib, if you want. Sennacherib.
And he started paying tribute to him, didn't he, first? and he tried to, well, pay him off, really.
Well, that's what they used to do in the Kings. They'd start threatening, and you'd see the opposition, and they
Yeah.
just demand
Yeah.
more and more.
But then he had a good mate, didn't he? The prophet Isaiah.
Yeah, not a bad mate. No.
And he made him wake up, and he refocused his attitude then
Yeah.
to trust absolutely
Yeah.
in his sovereign God and the sovereignty of God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like us in a way, because whilst everything's going all right, we're okay, aren't we?
Yes.
But, you know, upset our comfortable routine,
Yes.
and we soon start moaning.
Jim McGlade mentioned this, and he mentioned about, it says about faith and comfort. God would rather have our faith
Yeah,
than our comfort. He's more interested in our faith
Yeah.
than our comfort. Yeah. And but then he humbled himself and trusted in God, and that's when trouble started, because it imposed lockdown.
It did, and
Yeah.
I think what it is, he stopped paying tribute to Sennacherib, and I think he tried to join alliance, from what I've read, with Egypt, and that rattled Sennacherib's cage, and so he put the pressure on them.
But look how the community spirit came into play.
Yeah,
How people put their hand to the plough, as it were, or
focused,
hand to the
didn't they?
pick,
Yeah.
and they built that tunnel, you know.
Because normally they'd probably panicked, it would be in chaos, wouldn't it?
And that brilliant tunnel project was the result. So we can take a lesson from that, you know, with our lockdown.
Yeah.
We've got good leadership, and we've got a good community spirit. We've got a good fellowship in Archaea, haven't we?
Yeah, a lot to be thankful for.
We have a lot to
Definitely.
be thankful for.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Value that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the Book of Kings, you know, it finishes this story off wonderfully, because it starts here, the bit that we're on about. It starts with Isaiah's prophecy. Now, Isaiah must have been a very bold man to say what he said. He said this, and he prophesied. He said, "The king of Assyria," he says, "he will not enter this city. He will not even shoot an arrow here. He will not even come before it or build a ramp against it. And by the way that he came, he will return. He will not enter this city, declares the Lord." Wow, what a bold statement against this sort of chaos and adversity, when the odds are totally stacked against. And then it gets better. Listen to this. That night, the angel of the Lord went out and put to death 185,000 men in the Assyrian camp. When the people got up the next morning, they were all dead bodies. Fancy that, waking up in the morning, dead bodies, all 185,000. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, he broke camp and withdrew. He returned to Nineveh and stayed there. In other words, he went home with the stuffing knocked out of him, I suppose. Bit of a shock that, waking up and seeing, your arm is just being flattened for no reason at all. Well, that's a wonderful story, and this is just part one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we're well over our time, Rick, so we'll have to
we've got to
stop
go.
there.
Yeah,
but I do know that you've got other archaeological evidence
I've got some
that relates to this story.
I have.
But they'll have to wait for the next time, yeah?
I have, yeah, and we'll do that next time.
Okay.
I've got 3 wonderful pieces to look at, and 2 have been very recent discoveries connecting with all this. So we'll look forward to the next session.
Yeah, look forward to it.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you again.
God bless you.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye.